a privilege to join you for the launch of the Extra Mile, a work that celebrates resilience, leadership, and the unwavering humanitarian spirit demonstrated during an unprecedented global crisis. I congratulate Dr. Krishna Yadula and Professor Arun Tiwari ji for creating a book that blends institutional memory, community service, and lived experience into a powerful and inspiring narrative. The authors have highlighted Cyberabad's remarkable transformation into a thriving technology hub and showcase how visionary planning, collaboration, and civic commitment shaped an ecosystem of innovation and responsibility. This city's response during the pandemic remains one of the most compelling examples of collective courage, proving that adversity often reveals the finest qualities within communities and institutions. The book documents how government agencies, industry partners, police leadership, technology professionals, volunteers and citizens united with purpose to ensure safety, continuity, and passionate support for those affected. The Society for Cyberabad Security Council played a central role, guided by educated leaders who ensured coordination between stakeholders, enabling rapid and effective crisis response across all essential domains. Operations ranging from fruit distribution to medical assistance were executed seamlessly, demonstrating the strength of collaboration and the power of organized civic engagement in moments of widespread uncertainty. In the most difficult moments, volunteers ensured dignified last rites for those who lost their lives, reflecting the highest value of humanity and shared responsibility. Professor Arun Tiwari, shaped by his long association with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, brings deep insight, reminding us of Kalamji's words. Great dreams transform into great actions when driven by courage, compassion, and collective purpose. This work also offers important lessons for the future, emphasizing that collaborative governments, technological preparedness, and inclusive community engagement will remain essential pillars of resilient urban development. It reminds us that cities prosper not only through infrastructure and industry, but through empathy, solidarity, and willingness to support one another during difficult times. The Extra Mile is therefore more than a chronicle. It is a tribute to the spirit of Telangana and a guide for building together strong, compassionate society across nations. And I heard the senior police officer speaking, the person who named the book Extra Mile, and he said it very well, that the extra mile, when taking the extra mile, you are never alone. The COVID pandemic was a very dark moment in global history itself. But the valiant and the compassion and the resilience that the people showed, especially in our nation, outshone that darkness. And in this book upholds that shining example. As the Prime Minister often says, Sabka Prayas. It means binding of Sarkar and Samaj through the thread of empathy and compassion. When the society and the government or Sarkar and Samaj work together, things do become possible. And this book will highlight that fact. And we in India have always been a country that has, guided the world. We have been the guiding spirit of this world for a very long time. And we have already, in the pandemic, this was again proved to be correct. We always said in the Maha Upanishads that your, mine, his, hers is for those mean-minded people or narrow-minded people. For the broad-minded, it is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And this book reflects that image. As people of Cyberabad work together, not thinking of your, mine, or it is their suffering or my suffering or his suffering or her suffering, it was suffering of all. It is compassion that binds the society together. We in India have always said this. We in our, civilizational matter, in our civilizational thinking, we have always said this. And we have always said dharma in the broader sense of right deeds and right thought to overrule everything. Dharma is those values that uphold the mind. The word dharma itself comes from that. Dri comes from the word dharan, to uphold, and ma comes from mind. So dharma is that which upholds the mind. Though we now in English, we have become very English-speaking. I am myself giving a speech in English. We have become very English-speaking. The Western world doesn't have a word for dharma, and we don't have a word for religion. So we always mix them up. That is the problem with us. We don't have a word for religion. If we have to say something about religion specific, we'll say, upasana paddhati, how a person worships. That is the word for religion. We don't have a single word. We'll say upasana paddhati, the procedure of worship. And while the Westerners have written many books on the Vedas, on the Upanishads, and very nice books also, but when they come to the word dharma, they are, more likely to use the word religion and cause a little confusion in our minds. But the central theme around which this nation is built is dharma. Right deeds and right action. And dharma is propelled by the thought, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And when we say quote this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, we are talking of compassion, we are talking of empathy, we are talking of unity. And as another police officer, a very senior man says, that if you have a full thali or plate is full, yet to give it to someone hungry, that is Sanskriti. And it is correct. That is it is very beautifully put. That is our Sanskriti. And with this sanskar, we have given the world so much during COVID. We have given the vaccines from Hyderabad. We have sent them to so many countries, over 100 countries. We have fought COVID. As someone has said, if we live, we'll fight again. That was the call. The resilience of India, the magnanimity of our people, and the proof that this government and the society work together. But after all, the government is not something, that has come from Mars or come from the moon. It is part of the society. It is the colonial mindset that we have, that the police force is something extra from the society. It is not. A law is for society. So this book, those confined to one place, Hyderabad and all that, the thought is universal. The thought is universal, of compassion, of empathy, of what can be achieved when Sarkar and Samaj work together. What I could understand from the brochure, I was going through the brochure a little bit, and it's a very wonderful book in that sense. That it highlights, through a story it highlights, through a story in Hyderabad it highlights the very ethos of this civilization, of a very ancient civilization, that very few books do nowadays. So it will be worth reading, and I would, as Tiwari was saying, I hope you will collect your copies before leaving, and that Tiwari also right, that you have come to listen to, last mile, and that is also you're taking a last mile. So I hope you all the best, and I am confident that efforts like these will motivate younger generation. That is important, because our dreams too need to be taken forward. As we move forward, we have to take everything forward. And the only way to take it forward is through young minds. Because India is something, Bharat is something more than technology, more than just books, more than just, computers, more than just business. And when we talk of Viksit Bharat, we tend to, think that Viksit Bharat means having a very large bank account. Yes, it is a part of Viksit Bharat. Economics is the very important part. It's a very, very major part. But it is not the only part. A Bharat that will lead the world will be a Bharat of compassion, Bharat of empathy, a Bharat that shows the world that, no matter how dark the hour is, we can still go through it with dharma. We can still lead the world to think that, yes, actually it is true, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. As the pandemic struck, it did not differentiate between a poor country and a rich country. A developed country and developed country as defined by the West, it did not differentiate. And many things that happened in so-called developed countries were terrible. In that, we have been able to show some light. And instances like this, as reflected in this book, are important for us. Important for our children to know and to build values. Just knowing is not enough, because children know too much nowadays. They press their phone, they know everything. To know is important, to feel is important, and to do is more important. To know is important, there's no question. You must know, and you must feel what you know. And if you feel what you know, you must also do what is right. So I thank the organizers. It was a very nice function, and very nice, some of the speakers have given very lovely speeches, and especially Dr. Tiwari's speech was very stimulating and very nice. Of how this book came to be, how this book was born. That is always interesting. A book that is born of such, interesting circumstances will undoubtedly be interesting. So I thank you all. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.